In this video, we will learn how to parameterize rectangular section in the user section mode of CIM. So currently we are in the user section mode of CIM, where we have already defined the rectangular section with the dimensions of 1400 millimeters in the length, and the height of rectangular section is 600 millimeters. Now the first step for the parameterization of any user section shall be defining the reference line. So for that, we will go to the reference line option under the user section ribbon. We will assign the rotation angle at 0 degrees and will assign this origin point of the reference line as at 0, 0 location. So in the X and in the Y, we are having the 0, 0 location, or you can say it is assigned at the datum location of the user section mode. Now let's click on the green tick to apply the changes. Once you hover the mouse on the reference line, you can see apart from the reference line, on the place where we have defined the reference line, a point is also visible, which is the reference point location of the reference line, and this point and the reference line shall be helpful while defining the constraints as well as while defining the dimension lines for the user section parameterization. Now let's go to the dimension option, where we will be defining the dimensions for the user section. First we will define the horizontal dimension, and for the length of the rectangular section we will first select the top left corner of the section, and as a target to we will be selecting the reference point location of the reference line, which is assigned at the datum location, and using the left click we will place the dimension line as per our requirement. Same way we will follow the same process. First, as a target 1, reference point location at the datum location as a target 1, and as a target 2 we will define the top right corner. Now we will define the vertical dimension for the rectangular section, and we will select the left vertical edge for it, and we will click on the add button. Now let's go to the constraint option, where we will be defining the constraints for our parameterization part. So first of all, let us fix the location of this reference line at the datum location by selecting the reference point location of the reference line. We will click on this add button. So you can see on the bottom of the reference point location, the reference line location, we are seeing the lock option, which means that this particular reference line is fixed at its location. Now let's go to the second last option of the constraint, which is collinear. We'll select it and we'll tell the program that the reference line and this top edge of the rectangular section shall always be collinear with each other. Now we'll click on the blue plus button to apply the changes. So we have defined two constraints over here. First one is the fixed. We are fixing the reference line location at the datum location, and second one, we have assigned the collinear constraint on the top edge of the rectangular section. By doing that, we are saying the program that the reference edge is fixed at the datum location, and using the collinear constraint we are fixing the orientation and the location of the top edge of the rectangular section with the reference line. So it means that we are all indirectly fixing the top edge of the rectangular section. Now, since we are dealing with the rectangular section, we will assign the vertical constraints to these vertical edges. So using the cursor cross selection, we will select the entire section so that both of these vertical edges are selected, and now we'll click on the apply button and we'll close it. Now let's define some basic parameters. For that, we will go to the edit option under the parameter drop down menu. We'll choose the type as length. We'll assign the parameter name as the length of rectangle, variable name as capital L, and the length as 1400 millimeters. The second one will be height of rectangle. We'll assign the variable name as capital H, and we'll assign the height as 600 millimeters. Since we have defined the length parameter of for the rectangular section in the half portions, from the top left corner to the mid location or mid top location of the rectangle, and from the mid top location to the top right corner we have defined the length into equal parts. So we will tell the program to calculate the half length in the constraint parameters. So we will assign the parameter name is half length. We will check on this functional option so that we can add the equation for it, and since the length of the rectangular has the variable L, so we'll assign the variable L divided by 2 in the equation tab so that the value can be calculated by the program itself. We can see over here the 700 millimeter is correct value for the L by 2 length of rectangular divided by 2. Now we'll click on the green tick to save the parameters. Now there is a last step we are remaining for. We need to link the parameters with these dimension lines. So currently this dimension line is h1, h2 and v1. We need to assign the parameters and we need to link the parameters with this dimension line. So for that we will go to the link option under the parameter option, and under the h1 we will select the half length option. Same for the h2 because they are half length of the rectangular, and for the v1 we will be selecting the height of the rectangular section. Now we will click on this green tick to link the dimension line with the parameters. So you can observe the dimension line got updated from the gray color to orange color, which indicates that parameterization process is completed successfully. So for the verification, we'll go to the parameter edit option and we'll edit some of the parameters. Let's change the length from 1400 millimeters to 2500 millimeters and height from 600 to let's say 1000 millimeters. We'll click on blue plus. You can observe the height got changed from 600 to 1000 millimeters and the half length got changed from 700 to 1250 millimeters on the both top and the top left and the top right dimensions, on the both sides, on the left and on the right side. Now let's reduce the values so that we can confirm that the parameterization is working fine. So we'll reduce the height to 500 millimeters and length of rectangular to 1000 millimeters, and we'll click on green tick to apply the changes. So yes, the parameterization is working properly. So in this video we have covered all the steps starting from the reference line. We have defined the dimension lines, and later on we go on for the constraints and we defined constraint options over there, and at the last we created some parameters and linked those parameters with the dimensions. So that is how we can parameterize a rectangular section in CIM.